Back in 2014, Milo Manara, Italian artist, made a variant cover for Spider-Woman that, for whatever reason, got people pretty upset. Why? Her butt. Hey everybody, this is Perch. This falls into the category of what did you think would happen? And this was basically Marvel had a number of variant covers. I mean, what don't they have a variant cover on? And they have these popular artists come in. So one of the things that they did is they contracted Milo Manara, who's an Italian artist, has done kind of a large number of comics, many of which are explicit, deal with sexuality. I don't know. You can go into his history, but basically, very, very, very talented artist in terms of very detailed. It gets a lot of work done. It's very unfair. And during this controversy, people were kind of dismissing Manara as a smut artist, which really I think is a lousy way to describe him because he's very just very, very solid in terms of composition and characters and everything else. And if you just boil that all down to the girls wearing no clothes, that seems like kind of a shame. He's a fan of the butt, I think, is one other thing you could say. At any rate, so he'd done some covers for Marvel, and they were very unique. People in Marvel had not seen that kind of stuff before. He did some work with Chris Claremont, who apparently was really excited to do something with him because he's a legend in the industry. To give you, by the way, a sense, Manara started drawing basically in 1969. So we're talking, 5 decades worth of work. Pretty impressive. Anyway, so he did a large number of comics, and in 2013 starts doing variants, and then 2014 he does the variant for Spider-Woman, and she's basically coming up kind of over a wall, and she's crawling, and her butt is very much there, and it's probably the fact that the curve of the costume just go there's a very here's the tricky part about this cover is everybody kind of went nuts about the fact that it's too skin tight. But what does too skin tight mean exactly? Because all the there's skin tight and there's not skin tight. There can't be too skin tight. If it's skin tight, it's skin tight. But this basically hugged the butt, and people were upset. Now, and it was a think of the children moment, and then it was kind of like, well, let's not make that argument. Let's make this sexualizes women. Except, once again, that argument seems kind of weird when you've got a character who's wearing a one-piece skin-tight costume. It just becomes what are you complaining about to some extent. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it may be jarring to see that spider butt coming at you like that. But anyway, got a lot of people mad. And all the kind of the general sites wrote this is, over sexualization. Bleeding Pool did this is, terrible for the kids. The Mary Sue said, Marvel, this is when you send an artist back to the drawing board. The cover does not instill confidence, nor does it tell women this is a comic they should consider spending money on. Again, I'm not sure, here's a problem, is I don't think any editor of any company is going, all right, we're hiring this famous Italian artist who's got a long, storied career and draws a lot of women. And we are going to say, hey, you should make sure that when you're drawing this cover, make sure that it sends a message to women that they should consider spending money on this title. Some people have said Spider-Woman was marketed toward women, but it really wasn't. That's not accurate to say that this title was aimed at women. It was aimed at people who would buy superhero comics. Probably that's mostly men. I don't know. But it was very weird. And then IO9 came in saying, this was a dumb idea, and Vox and Elle and Bustle and Slate came up with this looks more like a colonoscopy than a costume. I don't think, you don't want Slate giving you medical diagnoses. I mean, if a skin-tight Spider-Woman costume reminds you of a colonoscopy, I think you've got other problems. I'm just saying. But anyway, everybody got mad. And once again, I think it's consistency that bugs me in most cases, a lot of things, because you can pick up all kinds of Marvel costumes and you've got skin tight outfits all over the place. I mean, with a lot of the characters. Yes, even Captain Marvel. And so it's like we picked on this one. It seems weird to me that this was the straw that broke Spider-Woman's butt. I don't know. Anyway, so the controversy, when people go through, for whatever reason, by the way, the whole variant cover controversy always confuses me. There's a similar thing when Raphael Albuquerque did the Joker, the Batwoman with the Joker, and it was like, this seems like it's suggesting violence against women, but it's like, but the Joker is a bad guy and he does violence against everybody. I mean, I don't know. The attacks on variants always seem really weird to me, but whatever. So Tom Brevoort weighs in and says, kind of in this very, I'm going to take both sides simultaneously. He says accurately that Milo Manara has been working since the 60s and he hasn't changed. So when you say a Manara cover, you kind of should know what you're getting, which I think, sure. And then he also pointed out that Spider-Woman was one of the less sexualized ones Marvel has published by Manara, and that the character is still covered head to toe and seems less exploitive, but then he ends with a conversation about how women are depicted in comics is relevant and fine. Here's the thing, by the way, if you want a conversation of how women are depicted in comics, it shouldn't be centered around a variant cover of a skin-tight Spider-Woman. I mean, are you going to have the best conversation? I just don't know that you're going to have a really in-depth, thoughtful conversation off of, a Italian comic artist from the 60s drawing Spider-Woman in her costume with her butt in the air. I mean, maybe you can get a good conversation out of that. I don't know. I just think it's tough. But eventually Marvel decides not to do it. The comic gets pulled, and then they decide to they canceled pretty much all of Manara's variants, and then Axel Alonso gave the absolutely no one believes it. Oh, the cancellations was based off of a scheduling problem. It's not that we, it's not that we are taking him off all this. It's just a scheduling issue, and that's BS. I think everybody knew. That was BS. And then the comic, then people like Vox wrote that nobody liked Marvel's porny Spider-Woman, and the company listened. And then the background came out that Manara had basically been suspended by Marvel. To me, this whole thing is bizarre on every front. So again, Manara, you either like him or you don't. Period. I mean, it's just everything, it either works or it doesn't work. And then, but he is who he is. I think Brevoort was right about that. He has a style. This is his style, and either like it or you don't. And to basically say, hey, we want to respect kind of other artists, other styles, other approaches, but we don't want them to draw in the style that is theirs. That seems very backward. So in that regard, sure, just Marvel did the right thing. Just don't give the guy more work. Just remove all. Nobody can pretend. Sure. But it just seems like a shame because I don't know, really? That's where I come down to. Really, I've yet to meet anyone who wasn't online writing an article for one of these news sites that I mentioned who was really upset about this. People either took an approach of, hey, this looks kind of cool because they like seeing Spider-Woman's butt, or I'm not going to buy that variant, so what do I care? That tended to be the two viewpoints, both in real life and stores. And it felt like an item that designed to get, basic news sites clicks. And at the expense of a lot of history. Manara, again, he's got a lot of, he's paid his dues in comics. He's done a lot of things. To run him out because he's drawing a Marvel character in the costume the Marvel character is in seems strange. And yes, I know he exaggerated her butt, but I mean, again, you could pick up lots of comics. Even today, you can pick up lots of comics and there's skin-tight butts running around. So anyway, I feel like I've said butt quite a bit during this video. What do you think? Did you like this cover? Were you offended that it was pulled? Were you offended that it existed in the first place? And as always, if you were upset by this, why? I'm not going to attack you, but I'd really like to know, why did this bother you? Leave me a comment below. Hey, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.